Here's a question from Lucia Olivier. And after watching my video on 3 ways to improve your editing experience, she has an additional question and perhaps a comment. And what she says, how can she erase all the old imported files without reinstalling the software from zero? She thinks that reinstalling it from scratch would eliminate her problem. So let's talk about that a little bit and why it actually really is not a good idea to reinstall it, and nor is it even needed to do that. Before I address these 2 questions, let me just say I don't normally ask people to subscribe to my channel. I just do these videos because I believe a lot of times when people are answering these questions, they give a flippant answer that's just not practical, or people can't follow what's being told them. So I would rather show the specific user how to fix a specific problem. I do post my videos on a number of Filmora user group channels in case somebody else runs across that same problem. They can take a quick look at that. But in this case here, I just wanted to mention that I have answered these questions before that Lucia is asking. And if you subscribe to my channel, then you can review the list of videos that I have made to see if there are any that address your current concerns. Okay, so let's get on to her 2 questions. One is that she thinks that her memory in the PC has become full with old material. And so we're going to debunk that. But before that, let me just draw your attention to her second question, which is how can she cancel all these old files, which is what we're going to talk about, without reinstalling the software. It's never a good idea to reinstall the software. I've seen users reinstall their software, taking their computer to the store to get Windows reinstalled just to solve an issue. What I'm saying here is don't ever think that solving the problem is uninstalling and reinstalling Filmora. Mainly because your issue has to do with your own media in some way. And every time you install an update to Filmora, it actually erases the old version. So if that was a solution, you probably would have had it erased anyway, because there's been so many updates coming out lately. So don't uninstall Filmora and reinstall it, because your media that you've created does not get deleted when you delete Filmora and reinstall it. Okay, let's go back to question 1 then, which is how can she get rid of the old media? Now, it is true that when you work with projects in Filmora, there are little files or things, temporary files that are created, and they are stored in a couple of different places. So let's just cover really quickly where are these places and how can you clear them out. First and easiest place is to go to File, Preferences, Media Cache. Here you have several things that can easily be cleared out. Any proxy files you created, you just hit the clear button. You can turn this feature on so that proxy files are deleted every time you close a project. The next time you come in and open it up again, then of course these proxy files would have to be recreated, which is going to slow down your process for starting up on your project. So I would recommend leaving it off and then clearing it out after you're done with a project. So each time that you open up the project to do further editing, all of the proxy files previously created are still there. AI tools, okay, so you can clear those out. Those are when you have used any of the AI tools that they provide in Filmora and clear these out. Now, I have found that they don't actually clear out all of them, so they haven't kept up to date with that. Preview render files. And these render files, they can become quite substantial, but the only way that they would interfere with your editing is if your hard drive physically is filled up, in which case you would be getting a message that would stop you. It would not just slow down incrementally your editing process. And again, you can automatically delete the render files when you close the project file. And if you want to know the difference between the proxy files and render files, I do have a video of that that explains that process on my channel. But anyway, you can clear it here. Again, I probably wouldn't clear out render files before the project is done. But I haven't done any detailed analysis on that. That was a lot of gigabytes, and you can look at see that there's still left quite a few there, and I'm clearing it several times, and there's still 59 files left over. And they're probably related to this particular project that I'm working on. But it's only specific to this project. Do not think the render files will load into a new project. They will not. It's only in relation to what you have on the timeline. Then there's temporary files. You can clear those out. And again, I think they've updated these where you can automatically close them out. Now, this is typical. Temporary files, you could set it to clear out after a certain number of days, presumably because you know you're going to be done with projects within that period of time. But you don't really want to eliminate all your temporary files for that particular project until you're done with the project. So you can clear them out. But if they were created for a previous project, they're not going to slow down the current project because they're not used in the current project. But you go ahead and clear them out. And you can see because I'm working on a project right now, making a video, I can't totally clear it out. This last item here, of course, is just managing installed effects. And that has more to do with things that you have downloaded from Filmora. You can select certain ones and you can delete them, or you can even go in and find out where they're at. But these are not ones that you would want to delete because these are things you're going to be using in multiple projects. However, if you feel that you need to free up some space, you could do that. And presumably if it's a package that you paid for, you can download it again some other time so that the next time you need it, you do not have to pay for it again. Once you pay for it once, you can have it on here for just a particular project, and then you can delete it. They're generally not very big, and they wouldn't save you enough time to be worthwhile to deleting them and re-importing them. So these are the easy ways to clear out your computer's files. Now, let's look at another aspect. There are other files that aren't included in here which could be hanging around. Again, they're not going to be impacting the project if it was something that was created for a previous project. But if you go to folders, you will find that you have a default storage location for your media. Okay. Now, generally, this is behind a hidden wall, so it may be difficult to find this location. But this is the location where your media is installed. I happen to have created my own personal little workspace, but if you are using the default location is going to be on the C drive. It's going to be your username, and then you're going to have to go in to a folder called App Data, and if you don't see it, you would have to open that up, but I'll show you a different way of how to get in there without changing the Filmora or the Windows Explorer. And then you would eventually work your way down to Wondershare, Filmora, and this is where it's going to be at. And in fact, if you substitute this D videos with what I said, C:users, your username, and then roaming, app data roaming, that would all appear in here. Then you would eventually end up at these locations. As I say, by default, this is in a hidden location, so it might be difficult for you to find. But if you click one of these browse buttons, this will get you past that hidden wall. And you would then open up your Explorer to that particular thing that you clicked on. But if you go to back up one directory to Wondershare Filmora, you can see here are all of the subdirectories that are associated with your that you've created, things that you would create. And you can see that I have nothing in these, but you can check each one of these. And obviously these AIs, they have to do with any AI feature you might have used. And by the way, when you use an AI feature in Filmora, this is one of the things you have to use the credits for in order to do it. So you can only do it while you have credits. So those things you might not want to delete because you might have made some voice alteration or some other thing that you want to use in multiple projects. But if it's stuff that you know you're not going to need anymore, go ahead and go in there and delete it. I don't even know what algorithm things are, but a lot of things are stored in these things, which is not actually anything. It's just a reference to where the stuff is. Filmora knows where to find it. But you can see there's a ton of these backups. Filmora creates backup files every 5 minutes. I should have covered that a little bit in more detail here. Maybe I'll just branch out here for a second. You will see that these are the backup files. And backup files by default are created every 5 minutes that you have a project open. So these are quite a few. Again, they're not loaded up into current projects. They don't interfere with them. And in fact, if I bring this back, you'll see that this is only a reference to where you were at in a particular project. You can't use these files from the Windows Explorer. Instead, you have to go into Files, Project Backups, and then you have to go in here, and then you would have to see which one of these you'd want to activate. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that in this video, but basically erasing these files is of very little consequence. If you do open up a backup file, you may have it stored here for it to be open. But again, I have another video on how to do how to restore from backup, and you'll learn all about it there if you're interested in it. Output, if you haven't changed the default, this is where your outputs would appear, and these would be your old projects that you have exported, and if you don't need them anymore, you could delete them. And uploads, that's probably if you're sending stuff to YouTube or someplace else, then this is where those are stored. So if you want to delete these, then you can do that. For the majority of your stuff to be deleted, you can just simply use the File, Preferences, Media Cache, and delete it there. If you want to check further, then you can go into the Folder tab on Preferences, and you can click on one of the Browse button. That will get you into this section where all of these subfolders are located, and you can review them and see if there's any that were not deleted and simply delete them there. But you do not need to be worried about the files that were created for other projects loading up and stealing memory. That doesn't happen.